All right, so now that you've got a feel for knowing when you need to flip the inequality symbol and when not, we're going to go on moving to solving multi-step inequalities. Same rules apply, just added more steps. And you've already solved multi-step equations, so this should be familiar. If you feel like you need to pull out that flow chart, feel free to do so as well. Okay. So when we're solving multi-step equations, as always, first thing you want to distribute if necessary. Remember, distribute means to multiply. And when do you distribute? When you see parentheses. After distributing, then you want to combine. When we combine, we're strictly talking about adding and subtracting. Okay. Isolate the variable. Use adding and subtracting to, after you distribute and combine, 9.9 out of 10 times you'll be down to a two-step equation. So that's where we start to remove the constant. After you remove the constant, you get rid of the coefficient by multiplying or dividing. But remember, most of the time, your last step is going to be to divide. And of course, remember to flip because this is an inequality. You need to flip the inequality sign when you are multiplying or dividing, specifically by a negative number. Okay. How many examples do we have? 10 examples? All right, cool. Now, if you feel like you don't need to see every single one of these examples, I'll let you use your best judgment on it. Okay. All right, number one. Starting with number one, and it looks like we will be graphing each one of these as well. Solving and graphing. So our variables are on the left. We're going to move the numbers to the right. We don't need to distribute here because we don't see any side of parentheses, but there are too many terms on the left side. If there's more than two, that's too many. So when we combine, we use our shapes. Okay, and instead of just shifting stuff around, we're just going to do old school. So 4 minus 2. 4 minus 2 is going to give us 2x. And 26 plus 11. 26 plus 11 is going to give us 37. Bring down the 49. Now at this step, you're down to a two-step equation, two-step inequality. So we get rid of the constant. The constant is the 37. It's connected with a plus sign. Opposite of plus is minus. 49 minus 37 gives us 12. And the last step is to divide. When you divide, don't forget you need to be on high alert because you need to know if you need to flip the sign. The number that is moving across is not a negative number, so we leave the sign alone. 12 divided by 2 is 6. And I wrote a 2 on my notes. That's awesome. Anyway, 12 divided by 2 is 6. So I'm going to put a 6 on my number line with an open circle. And we are going to shade it to the right. Pointing to the right, shade to the right. Okay. I hope I can make a mental note to fix that tomorrow. Okay, next. Number 2. Our variable is on the right. So we got to move our numbers to the left. This one's going to be a little special. But we do, first off the bat, notice that we have parentheses. So the first step is going to be to distribute. Negative 2 times 3, negative 6x, negative 2 times 15, negative 30. Okay, now we do not have too many terms on any side. There's one term on the left, two terms on the right. So 2 is fine. We move on to move the constant. The constant is 30. The opposite of minus is plus. 40 plus 42 plus 30, 72. Bring down negative 6x. Last step is to divide. Be on high alert because we are dividing. The number that is moving across is a negative number. So when we are dividing by a negative number, that means that we need to flip that sign. So it's going to go from greater than to less than equal to. Now 72 divided by negative 6 gives us negative 12. Because we do have to graph it, our answer has to be in a certain order. After you're done completely solving, then can you flip it again? So that means, we go from the negative 12. And notice how it changes the way that we shade. Because originally I would probably try to shade to the left. But when I move my variable to the front, the way it's supposed to be written, notice you end up shading to the right. And that is a closed circle because it is underlined. Okay. Next, number 3. Our variables are on the left, so we move everything to the right. Now there's too many terms on the left side. If it's more than 2, it's too many. So we got to use our shapes to combine something. Oops. That one actually looked kind of ugly. There we go. We got 2 circles, 2 boxes. So starting with the boxes, 4.5 minus 1.3. 4.5 minus 1.3, 3.2. Okay. And then 18 minus 24.1. So that's the way I type it in, 18 minus 24.1 minus 6.1, bring down 14.7. Now we're down to a 2-step, so the constant, 6.1. Believe it or not, even with pregnancy brain, I think I can add this up, 20.8. And the last step is to divide. But we are dividing by a positive number. Because that number is positive, there is no need to flip the symbol at all. But they do cancel out. Greater than or equal to. Can't do that in my head. 20.8 divided by 3.2. 6.5. So we put the 6.5 on the number line. Open or closed. This one's going to be closed, and we are going to shade it to the right. Next one. Variables are on the right, so we move our numbers to the left. First thing we notice is parentheses, so that lets us know that we need to distribute. Now, 3/4 times a -1 is just -3/4. 3/4 times 12, that's going to give us 9, but just in case you don't believe me, 3/4 parentheses 12 gives us a 9. Bring down the 18. Opposite of +9 is -9. 18 minus 9 is still 9, -3x. Okay. Now the last step, we are getting rid of a fraction. Okay. To get rid of a fraction, what do? Fractions represent division. So the opposite of dividing is to multiply, and we must multiply by the reciprocal. Reciprocal, you literally flip the numbers. Do not flip, change the sign, or anything like that. But the number that is moving across, notice that number is negative. Because that number is negative, that's going to force us to flip that symbol. And 4 over negative 3 times 9 gives us negative 12. Now, because we are graphing, we are going to flip it again to make sure that our variable is in the front like it needs to be. I need to pause the video real quick. All right, moving on. Number 5. I do recommend that you watch for sure at least a few more, at least to number 8, just because some of these are getting a little bit bigger, especially at for sure, number 7. Okay, here we go. Oops. Such a crooked line. Why can't I just make a straight line? Close enough. All right, so we do see parentheses. So the very first thing we're going to do is distribute. The number that we distribute is always directly in front of the parentheses. Okay, we're not doing anything with the 24, so I bring that down. Negative 7.2 times negative 4. 28.8 positive 28.8x. Negative 7.2 times 3 is negative 21.6. And bring the other one down. Remember, you want all the numbers at the same level. If you're struggling to keep everything at the same level, I highly suggest that you use a sheet of notebook paper. That typically helps solve that problem. Okay, now we do have too many terms on one side. If it's more than 2, it's too many, and we have 3. So we just got to draw our shapes. Okay, there's only one box, so I'm going to go ahead and bring that one down, 28.8x. But 24 minus 21.6 is going to give us 2.4. Okay. Now, constant, move 2.4 over. Opposite of plus is minus. That'll give us 28.8, right? Yeah. 28.8x. Negative 28.8x. 28.8. Last step is to divide. We are dividing by a positive number, so there is no need to flip. Our variable is in the front, so we're good there. And it is underlined, so that means that we're going to have a closed circle. Okay. Number 6. Number 6, less steps probably. I see less numbers. I don't know. Maybe it's just because of the decimals. But I do see parentheses. So the very first thing I'm going to do is distribute. Negative 2 times x. Negative 2x. Negative 2 times negative 4. 2 negatives make a positive. 2 times 4 is 8. We do have too many terms on one side. If you have more than 2 terms on one side, that's too many. So go for your shapes. Negative 2x is the only box, but 11 plus 8, 19. Hopefully you knew that without having to type that in the calculator, but if you don't know that, then no shame in your game. Go ahead and type that in. I'm going to subtract the 19. 16 minus 19, negative 3. Bring down negative 2x. 19's cancel out. You divide by the negative 2. Because we are dividing by a negative, right? What does that mean? We need to flip it. Flip the sign. So it would go from greater to less than. Negative 3 divided by negative 2 will not simplify, but I am going to go ahead and write, you know what? I'm going to do this. It won't simplify. It will change to a positive because two negatives make a positive. But I'm gonna go ahead and change it to a decimal. I can't even talk anymore. 1.5. Now, because we are graphing, remember you need to have the variable in the front. So we're going to flip that again. 1.5. Open circle. Oh, and when we flip it again, you also flip that symbol. And that lets us know that we're going to shade to the right. Okay. Number 7. Oh man. Yeah, that's why I said stick around for number 7. This one looks like a doozy. Okay. First thing I see, parentheses. When you see parentheses, you must distribute. Okay. Negative 5 times 2, negative 10. X, negative 5 times 1, negative 5. Now, we don't distribute all the way to the 12x because that is not inside of the parentheses. One of the sides of the inequality does have too many terms. If you have too many terms, you combine. Okay. We have 2 boxes, 2 circles. Let's start with the circle. 17 minus 5. Know that to be 12. Nope. 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 Stop. I was trying to erase this one. There we go. There we go. Now, negative 10 plus 12 gives us a positive 2x. Now we want to move this 12 over. 12 is positive, so opposite of plus is minus. Both, remember, this is not two negatives make a positive. We are adding and subtracting here. So because both of them are negatives, we add and keep the sign. 2 plus 1 is 3, 4. Okay. And bring down the 2x. Last step, divided by 2. We're dividing, but the number that's moving across is a positive, so we do not flip. Negative 34 divided by 2, negative 17. Now, can you remember why we would flip now? Correct. We flip because we need the variable to be in the front of the answer. When you flip again, or when you flip to move the variable to the front of the answer, you have to flip that sign, okay? And that helps us with the shading part. It also helps us whenever we're looking for an answer on the STAR test, because a variable will be in the front on the STAR test, okay? Number 8. Very important that you get plenty of practice on these. But I feel like you guys are getting the hang of it, hopefully. 5 times 1 is 5. Hopefully you guys are getting the hang of it. So you are solving as we go and you're not struggling to keep up with how fast I'm solving. So we bring down the negative 20x. 5's cancel out. 45 minus 5 is 40. The last step is to divide. Okay, now the number that is moving across is a negative number. Because that is a negative number, what do? We flip the sign. Those will cancel out, but we're going to go from less than to greater than. And 40 divided by negative 20 is negative 2. So we put negative 2 on our number line. It is not underlined, so we keep it as an open circle. Treat it as an arrow. It is pointing to the right, so we shade to the right. Number 9. Here's another big one. Guys might want to stick around for this one. Okay, anything that you do not touch, just go ahead and bring it down. 6 times x is 6x. 6 times negative 8, negative 48. Positive times a negative is a negative. 6 times 8, 48. Bring down the plus 10. One side of my inequality has too many terms. If it's more than 2, that's too many. So I'm going to draw my shapes. We have 2 boxes and 2 circles. Negative 2 plus 6 gives us 4x. Negative 48 plus 10 plus a positive 10, negative 38. Opposite of minus 38 is plus 38. Plus. Bring down the 4x. I'm just going to bring it in closer. 38 plus 2 is 40. When we divide, notice we are dividing by a positive number, so we do not need to flip. And we get x is less than 10. It's not underlined, so we leave it as an open circle. And it's shaded to the left because it's pointing to our inequality is pointing towards the left. Last one. We're going to distribute here on the right side of the inequality. Bring down the 13. We can go ahead and bring down the 1/2 m. Looks like in the notes, I went ahead and changed that 1/2 to 0.5. So let's do that. Okay, 2 times m, 2m, 2 times negative 3, negative 6. 3 is still too many. If it's more than 2, it's too many. So we box and we circle. 2 plus 0.5, 2.5m. Bring down the minus 6. The opposite of minus is plus. 13 plus 6, 19. And last step is to divide. When we're dividing, the number that's moving across is positive, so we do not need to flip. Now 19 divided by 2.5 is 7.6. It was probably going to give us a terrible fraction, so I'm glad we changed it to 0.5 there in the beginning. Now, we are going to flip, but the only reason we're going to flip is because we need to move the variable to the front of the inequality. Alligator is eating the m here, so alligator needs to eat the m there. 7.6. It is underlined, so underline meaning close circle. Okay, now it's time for you guys to practice this on your own.